At the time of Tobago's European colonization, war was a frequent occurrence, and the island of Tobago was considered prized property. As such, the island of Tobago was fought over by many nations: the English, French, Dutch, Swedish, the colonized, even the United States of America. In addition, the Kalinago tribes who were on Tobago at the time resisted the colonization. Later, there were attacks on settlers by the Kalinago tribes from St. Vincent and St. Lucia, plus the Nipoyo tribe from Trinidad. Plus, this was the era of pirates who had no hesitation in raiding undefended islands. So for protection, numerous forts were erected along Tobago's coastline. We're going to take a look at some of Tobago's more popular forts. Fort Milford is probably the second most visited fort in Tobago due to its close proximity to the airport and being located in the heart of Tobago's tourist district. Built in 1642 by Dutch settlers, the fort derived its name from the town of Milford that had been planned for the area where the airport is now located. From about 1770, the British Army maintained a picket post here, and the militia manned a 2-cannon battery on the site until the island fell to the French in 1781. When the British regained Tobago, they took over the fort, and in 1811, the British enhanced the fortifications at Fort Milford and maintained a garrison at Fort Milford until 1854, when they withdrew troops from the island of Tobago. Today, you can see a series of walls built of cut coral limestone and 6 cannons. 5 of these are British, while 1 was made in France. The British cannons showed GR emblem, except for 1 that is marked with a Tudor rose. The fort offers fantastic views of Milford Bay, as well as Pigeon Point and Store Bay Beach. Fort Monk is probably the second oldest fortification in Tobago. Constructed in 1681 by a group of Colanders who at the time were under the command of Colonel Frank Monk, it was constructed to either supplement or replace a fortification that was built at Stonehaven Bay by a small advanced group of soldiers under an English lieutenant in Colander's service called Robert Bennett. Fort Monk was constructed on the peninsula called Rocky Point that overlooks Mount Irving Bay and Back Bay. The fort was built using coral stone in a horseshoe layout with earth embankments and housed a battery of 6 cannons. There was a two-story powder magazine incorporating a barrel-vaulted magazine store with a dressed stone lintel above the door and rifle holes within the brick. The powder magazine still remains, along with the first two rows of the outer coral stone walls. Finding Fort Monk is a little tricky, as you can see from the tall grass. At the end of this video, if you click on the video that appears on your screen, you will see how we found it and what we also discovered. Fort Bennett is located atop a cliff in Black Rock and was reportedly built by the Dutch between 1628 and 1636. In 1680, this fortification was taken over by a small advanced group of soldiers under an English lieutenant in Colonizer service. The lieutenant's name is Robert Bennett. After attacks by Indians from the Windward Islands, Bennett left Tobago with most of his group in 1681. In 1778, the British rebuilt the fort as protection from pirates for the sugar cargoes that were shipped from this area. Fort Bennett saw action during the French invasion of Tobago in May 1781, when the cannons at this fort were used to try to prevent the French landing their troops at Corland Bay. The fort was manned by the Tobago militia and trusted slaves. 2 cannon batteries are among the few remnants of the fort still in existence today. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and share the video. Fort Bennett on a sunny day is a pleasant picnic site, and if you like cocktails at sunset, you can bring your own and enjoy the sunset, as this is a westward facing beach and so gives you a full view of the sunset. The first organized European group to settle in Tobago were the Colanders, who came primarily from the area that today is called Latvia, and they mainly settled around the area of Plymouth and Great Corland Bay. As part of their settlement, they would have built fortifications. In 1636, the Spanish from Trinidad, allied with the Kalinago from Togo, attacked Plymouth, Tobago, and destroyed their settlement, taking the 65 soldiers to work as slaves in Margarita. In 1654, another group of 80 families came to Tobago, consisting of Latvians, Germans, Dutch, French, and British. They arrived and settled around Plymouth. They erected the fort that was named after Jacobus, the Duke of Corland, and is now called Fort James. The fort was manned by 124 soldiers. In November 1659, the Dutch, who had settled on the Scarborough side of Tobago, attacked the Colanders at Plymouth. The Colanders surrendered without much resistance and turned Fort James over to Dutch. Over the years, the fort was seized alternately by the English and French. In 1762, under the British, the military restored the fort, building permanent barracks in 1768 and then strengthening its defenses in 1777. The fort was captured by the French in 1781, recaptured by the British in 1793, and then captured again by the French in 1802. It finally passed to the British in 1803. The ruins remain today on the headland of Corland Bay, just outside the village of Plymouth. Fort Granby would be the oldest British fortification in Tobago. It was built in the 1760s by the British to protect the first capital of Tobago, which was called Georgetown. When the capital was moved to Scarborough and Fort King George was constructed in 1779, the British lost interest in this fort. In 1781, the French captured Tobago and they occupied Fort Granby. However, when the British recaptured Tobago in 1793, they did not reoccupy Fort Granby. Located at Granby Point, today there are no real fortifications at this site, and it is more of a picnic site. Fort King George is located in Scarborough. In 1781, a decision was taken that the main fortifications at Fort Granby were too far away and fortifications were needed at Scarborough, so barracks were constructed at Scarborough Hill. In June 1781, the French attacked and captured Tobago from the British. The French added to the buildings on Scarborough Hill and renamed the fortification Fort Louis. In April 1793, the British landed troops at Granby, marched to Scarborough and stormed Fort Louis, causing the French to surrender, and so the British won back Tobago. From 1793, the main British troops were stationed on Scarborough Hill, and the fortification came to be called Fort King George, while Fort Granby fell into disuse. From 1797 to 1854, structures were added to the fort, largely because of the fear of French attack. Finally, in January 1854, British troops were removed from Tobago. With the exception of Fort Monk and Betsy's Hope, all the forts mentioned in this video have security officers stationed at the fort during the daytime. They also have bathrooms. We usually think of forts as being constructed by government, but Betsy's Hope is an exception. In the 1700s, pirate attacks were a real danger. And pirates did not simply attack other ships. They attacked anywhere they thought had valuable items that they could carry away. So an estate in an isolated area with a large bay that they could sail into was an attractive target. Betsy's Hope was a 600-acre estate on the sea at Queens Bay, Tobago, and during its existence had suffered a pirate attack. As a result, a military battery was erected to protect the estate. What remains today of this military battery are the cannons looking out over the bay.
I hope you enjoyed learning about some of Tobago's forts. If you want more information on these forts, I have placed links in the video description. If you like the video, please share it with your friends and family. And if you want more adventures around Trinidad and Tobago and other Caribbean islands, select one of the videos that is appearing on your screen now. Tobago is beautiful, even in the morning after the rain.